Hello world, and welcome back to the Dweebitron channel. In episode 17, I want to talk about my favorite producer of porcelain, Noritake. And also I want to talk about one of my favorite glass companies, Heisey. But first, let's take a peek at some stuff that's been selling lately. Mid-century Fenton is still selling through, although not for much right now. This Aquacrest vase sold for $20. Mixer motors have been gaining in popularity. I have lots of vintage mixer motors left over after parting out old mixers for their beaters, turntables, bowls, stuff like that. The mixer motors have gone up in price enough lately that they offset the fact that they cost a lot to ship because of their weight. So I've started listing some of my old motors, and this one was the first to sell. And yep, still selling openers, this one going for a bit under $6. And calculators too. This damaged HP12C went for $16.22. And of course, lots of glassware. Two of my favorite pieces that recently sold were this 1887 celery vase by Richards and Hartley and this cool loop optic goblet in Fostoria's Wavecrest pattern. Okay, let's talk about Noritake. Noritake China first showed up on my radar because many pieces of it are marked with the Noritake mark and also the pattern name. You might remember me talking in an earlier episode about how when I first started I was buying things that had markings on them so that I could research them easily. Noritake is a perfect example of that. Some of the first pieces that I bought and sold went to someone who was writing her second book on Noritake, Robin Brewer. It turned out that I was able to strike a deal with Robin wherein I was actually able to trade pieces of Noritake for a copy of her first book, Noritake Dinnerware Identification Made Easy. Her book has an entire section dedicated to the many different marks that Noritake used over the years, and that section helped me locate and resell many different Noritake items. So what should you be watching for when it comes to Noritake? Well, figurines are a good bet. Noritake made all different kinds of figurines. You can find lots of different fish, and also lots of different birds. Also other animals, and of course people. Check out this dancing lady that someone recently sold. Their figurines were high-quality, fine porcelain and very delicate. Undamaged Noritake figurines are a very solid resale bet. Another fun Noritake category to watch for are pieces featuring Art Deco ladies. This dancer qualifies as an Art Deco lady, and I'm sure that's one reason she brought such a lovely price. The Deco ladies can be figural pieces or just regular pieces with Deco ladies painted on them. I once found a plate just like this one for 50 cents at a garage sale. I sold mine for a similar price as to what this one brought. Here are a few more examples of recent Deco Lady item sales so you can get an idea of the variety of these items available to find out there. But Noritake figurines and Deco Ladies don't really show up that often. The Noritake that you will find most often is their dinnerware. Over the course of the 20th century, Noritake produced hundreds, if not thousands, of different dinnerware patterns. The dinnerware market fluctuates quite a bit, so I look up Noritake patterns every time I'm considering a purchase to see how that pattern is doing. I'll give you an example of how I do this. Let's take this pattern, Fitzgerald. I randomly pulled this picture from the internet, so I don't know what I'll find. First, I searched the current listings. In this example, I found 131 listings with Fitzgerald items for sale. Then I searched the sold listings. In this example, I found 27 results, which works out to about a 20% sell-through ratio. That's not horrible, but I wouldn't be jumping up and down to buy it for resale. To be fair, the pieces that sold through sold for quite a bit, so I would take that into consideration, along with the purchase price. For example, this vegetable bowl here that sold for about $100, if I found that for sale for $3.99, I'm thinking I would buy it. There's money to be made out there with Noritake. I just sold 6 of these Noritake running free salad plates for a decent profit. Now let's talk about Heisey. The A.H. Heisey Glass Company was formed in 1895 by A.H. Heisey. They produced an amazing variety of glassware in a full spectrum of colors until they closed in 1957. I first learned about Heisey from one of the first books I bought, Elegant Glassware of the Depression Era. Much of Heisey's glassware is marked with this H in a diamond mark. This was one of the first glass marks I learned to recognize, and knowing this mark has allowed me to make some really great finds over the years. One of my first Heisey finds was a set of 5 yellow beer mugs like this one in Heisey's old sandwich pattern. The lady running the sale had just marked them down from 25 cents to 10 cents each, so I got all 5 of them for 50 cents. I sold them for about $900. So what should you be watching for when it comes to Heisey? I mentioned in episode 15 that Heisey's orchid pattern had been doing well for me. Looking through completed Heisey items while doing research for this episode shows that this trend has continued. This bud vase with a water stain in it sold for over $300. Heisey animal figurines have always been an easy sale, and it looks like they are still selling well, and particularly the horses. Here is one beautiful example. Heisey made many amazing and beautiful patterns over the years, and there's no way we can cover them all here. My advice is to memorize and watch for that trademark diamond H. You might just discover treasure. That wraps up episode 17. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Be sure to check out Value Vintage on both Facebook and eBay for more talk about vintage stuff and selling it on eBay. Until next time, please take good care of each other, and I'll see you then.